perfect health score too.
Wet salad walking in to go.
Hey guys, I've got a great wingman to tell you about this week, and it's Taco Mac on Cobb Parkway in Atlanta. They've been in this location now for 10 years, but they got their start in the Peach State 4 decades ago. This is the place for hot wings and cold beer, and let me tell you why. They've got 100 beers on draft here, and when it comes to their wings, it's farm to table. They get it from Springer Mountain Farms in Georgia. Always fresh, never frozen. That's the difference. Can't wait to tell you all about it, but first, here's this week's Best and Worst Scores. Everyone loves a good seafood buffet, but before you visit this one, there are a few things you should know. Atlantic Buffet on Cobb Parkway in Marietta failed with only 57 points and a U for unsatisfactory. The report says tilapia, crab sushi roll, and eggs were at unsafe temperatures. Plus, food contact surfaces were not clean to sight and touch, and an employee touched a trash can and then prepared food without washing hands. Why are you not washing hands?
No, what it was is she, instead of pushing the trash can over, she touched it with her hands. She's supposed to use gloves and everything. If she touches the trash can with her gloves, she's supposed to use it with a fresh glove every single time.
Right, but she didn't wash hands. You still have to wash hands even after changing gloves.
Of course, yes, sir.
Management told me they had a meeting with their staff to discuss health violations, and they have since cleaned up their act.
We completely cleared everything out. When the second score does come out, we guarantee we'll have a better score, you know.
But what about the current score of 57? Management failed to post it for the public to see.
Is it hidden?
Be sure to post that because they will take points.
No, of course. That's why I took my old one down. I'm not trying to show my old one up here or anything.
Now to some other scores. In DeKalb County, Barbecue Works on Turner Hill Road inside the mall at Stonecrest picked up 91 points. In Fulton County, Kima on Piedmont Road in Atlanta scored a 96. And in Cherokee County, Burger Inn on Main Street in Woodstock earned 99 points. And back here at Taco Mac on Cobb Parkway in Atlanta, they received a 100 on their last health inspection. Congratulations, they are the winner of this week's Golden Spatula Award. Let's get down to business. You may want to start out with the fried pickles. They also have the buffalo chicken salad on the menu. Look at the Claremont burger over there with the egg on top and their take on a traditional cheeseburger that they call Peachtree. And wings, baby. Look at the wings. Right there, their new habanero barbecue and lemon pepper. That's going to do it for this week, guys. I'm going lemon pepper. We'll see you next week.
All right, so the man needs no introduction. Adam Murphy, of course, our Atlanta News First reporter, and the man telling us what restaurants we need to go to. We bring him on here every week, giving you some ideas of what you can and can't do here in Metro Atlanta around the weekend. But this week, we're actually warning you about an Atlantic restaurant that got a pretty unsatisfactory score.
Yeah, you know, I say this all the time. While most of us love to go to a really good buffet restaurant, you really have to watch out because you think about it, they've got to keep the food at the right temperatures across the board on that buffet. And that's not easy to do, right? It's one thing if it's in the kitchen or it stays under a heat lamp, but when it's on a buffet line, you really have to be cautious and make sure before you dine there that you check the inspection score. That's my advice to you because things can get out of temperature range a little bit easier.
Absolutely. And you found some pretty disturbing health violations. I know you touched upon some of them, but let's talk about these.
Yeah, so I've got the report here. I'll kind of, let's see here. There we go. Doesn't that look good? All right, so a 57 and a U to Atlantic Buffet. They're located on Cobb Parkway. That is Atlanta, but it's Cobb County. I talked about the food at the right temperature or watching out and making sure it's at the right temperature. We'll get this tilapia, crab sushi roll, and eggs were all at unsafe temperatures. Those were just 3 items that I noted on the report that were out of range. We talked about temperature ranges. In restaurants, it's got to be 135 degrees or higher for hot foods, and if it's being refrigerated or in a freezer, it's got to be 41 degrees and lower. So anything in between or out of that range is a problem. And they had 3 items that I noted on the report. Also on there, they had food contact surfaces that were not clean to sight and touch. That's not good. And then this last one really bothered me. It talked about an employee touching a trash can, then going straight to preparing food without ever washing their hands. This is basic stuff, right? And I only mentioned that on television, but I'll go into a little more detail. There was also another violation dealing with this same sort of thing. It talks about here an employee handling raw fish, then proceeding to touch clean equipment and then prepare food at the cook line without washing their hands first. So they had 2 cases of this happening. That's a problem. You can get the cross-contamination. Not good at all. That's how people can get sick.
Now you talked in the package that we just played about making those health scores visible, and instances where sometimes restaurants will put an old score down.
Yeah, you have to watch out for that. And you probably saw in this report, let me mention this first, Atlantic Buffet. I was looking around when I walked in. These scores should be posted within 10 feet of the front door in public view. If you don't see it, ask for it when you walk in. You have that right to see it. You can also search on your phone. Like I said, you just go to Google, whatever county you're in, let's just say in this case Cobb County, just search like Cobb County restaurant scores. Or you can go to atlantanewsfirst.com and get that same information. And then you just type in the name of the restaurant, you'll get the latest report. But again, it should be within 10 feet of the front door. I walked into this place, could not find the score. So when I asked the manager about it, he quickly walked over and realized somebody had taken it down, taken their old score down, which is good, but they didn't put the current one up of 57. And so when people walk in, they have the right and should be able to look for that score. So he was making that adjustment. I caught him on that one. And let's hope that moving forward he understands that's important to do.
And that is an important thing that you make sure to make people aware of, is just because a restaurant has a poor score at one point doesn't mean that they're going to continue to have that poor score. Especially, we talk about a seafood restaurant, there's already pressure from the public that are like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to eat raw food. So they have a lot more at stake to make sure that they're in good standing.
Well, I have to say, one thing that this, and you didn't see it in the report, but I will mention it because we have a little more time here to do so. So first of all, Cole, the guy that I interviewed, was a great guy, handled it very well. He was very transparent about it. He walked us into the kitchen. He showed what improvements he's made, very honest about it. So I really appreciate that. I thought he did a great job, and I firmly believe they're going to do well on a reinspection like he said. I fully expect that. But one thing he pointed out to me, it was interesting, at the time the inspector walked in, he said they were doing some road work in the area, and so their water, they were having a problem getting water. I don't know if they had turned it off in the area. It's what he said to me. So he was claiming it was difficult to thaw food because they, for a brief period of time, they didn't have running water. It was difficult to wash hands. Again, you know, if that's the case and you have no water, you really shouldn't be open. And he realized that after we talked to him. So I think moving forward, that's something he learned from this lesson, is that if I don't have water, I can't operate the restaurant. I'll have to wait until it comes back.
And let's get into the good score for this week. Earning a golden spatula, Taco Mac.
Yes.
Is one of the first places, by the way, that I tried when I moved to Atlanta, and I fell in love with wings right then and there.
Yes.
So I know Taco Mac is a big popular spot here for a lot of people in Metro Atlanta, but this one in particular is local, and it's local to the people in that community.
That's right. Taco Mac got its start more than 4 decades ago, over 40 years ago, in Virginia Highland. So there's a little tidbit of information, and they have stores throughout the state and throughout the region as well. But they are a locally based company, and I'll tell you, it is a great spot, like I said in the report, for hot wings and cold beer. So if you're going to watch the game, we got a Georgia-Florida football game this weekend. Might be a really fun spot to go. One of the things I like about their wings, which is really unique to them, especially when with inflation, prices went up. A lot of places went to frozen wings, right? It's just cheaper. Well, they didn't. They actually do farm to table. So they get their wings from a local provider, which is Springer Mountain Farms in Georgia, right? And they say their wings are always fresh, never frozen. I have to tell you, I thought they were excellent wings. They also have over 100 different beers on tap. So it's a fun environment. The location we did there on Cobb Parkway in Atlanta, not too far actually from Truist Park. They've been there for 10 years, and it's a very comfortable setting and good food.
It is. I can attest to that. I will probably be going back there this weekend because this conversation alone has sold me on revisiting. And you have some other restaurants that you have followed up with since you've last visited their spots. Yeah,
actually, I think all of them this week. I always mention 3 scores in addition to the low one and the one we feature, which was Taco Mac. I like to mention 3 other scores that are A's, because I know it's really difficult for these restaurants to do what they do day in and day out and really be on their game, and they deserve a shout out as well. Looking at my report this week, I think these are all first time A's. They're not necessarily follow-ups from prior weeks. So we had Barbecue Works. That is a spot in the food court at the mall at Stonecrest on Turner Hill Road in Lithonia. 91 points and an A on their report, which you can see right there. Congratulations to them. Also, Kima, you've probably heard of the great popular Kima restaurant on Piedmont Road. That's in Buckhead. They had a 96 and an A on their last routine or surprise inspection when they didn't know the inspector was coming. And then all the way out in Woodstock, in Cherokee County on Main Street, Burger Inn, check this out, 99 points and an A. So close to being a recipient of the Golden Spatula Award, but you did really well, and we want to make sure people know about it.
So I gotta ask, a lot of us watch these reports, and some of the things that you find are some things that those customers that possibly have visited the location never saw
Right.
or were never made aware of. What is your process? I know you follow the health inspections very closely, but as you're going to these restaurants, what are you looking out for?
So, the first thing I do is I will spend, a few hours each week thumbing through hundreds of reports just like these that you see, right? I look at them online. You can do the same if you want to check your favorite restaurant. And then, I'll see what concerns me. And, obviously, when it comes to a failing restaurant, what concerns me most. And I will actually create my own little sheet here of violations so that I have it right in front of me and I don't have to go through all the fine print. Although, when I do look at these reports, and you may be able to notice, see the highlighted stuff? Those, like up here, we got food temps at the wrong temperature. So that's how I'm jotting down what I'm seeing that I consider a concern or a violation. And then I make notes, like I pointed out, and I'll walk into the restaurant ready to go and ask them about these violations. While I'm there, I've been doing this so long, about 15 years. So I know to look for certain things when I walk in that the health inspector would look at. One of the obvious ones that we should all be looking for is the health score, right? And I can't tell you how many times, like you said, I'll walk in and they'll have a health score posted that is 2, 3, 4 years old. So you got to be looking at the date. Maria and I have talked about this in prior broadcasts here, and that is that every restaurant is inspected at least once or twice a year on average. Could be more if you're not doing well. So if you see a score that's really good and it's from like 5 years ago, that's a red flag. Okay, you should be looking online or ask them. Don't hesitate to ask them, hey, where's your current score? This is 5 years old. We've got to hold them accountable too and make sure that they are, providing the most current, up-to-date information for all of us so we all stay healthy.
Hey, and you can also let us know, and we can put Adam on the case,
That's
of
right.
course. You can follow his restaurant report cards on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. And how can people connect with you, whether they have a favorite restaurant they want you to check out or one that was questionable?
Yeah, it's really easy. You can find me pretty much anywhere. You can find me on social media, on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. You can also go to our website, atlantanewsfirst.com, and under staff, you'll see my picture, and then you can email me there. But please let me know, good or bad, because that's how we do what we do. And that keeps me on the lookout for restaurants I need to be reporting every single week. And you can catch the restaurant report card. First run is every Thursday on Atlanta News First at 5:30 p.m. and then also 9 p.m. on Thursday evening on Peachtree TV, and then it runs a lot of other places.
And we got you covered on
That's
all
right.
of the restaurants in Metro Atlanta. Before we end this, I do want to ask if we can do the famous saying.
Yes, we can. How the segment always ends, right? Are we ready?
1,
2, 3.
Boy,
Boy,
that's
that's good.